I'm bored, let's talk about Doomfist. So a while ago, as in a couple of days ago, I made a video called a biased, ignorant, and unscripted video on why I hate Doomfist, and that was exactly what it was. But because I still want to bash Overwatch's lore and characters with a amount of extreme prejudice, here's the more refined version of why I hate Doomfist. So let's paint the broad stroke. Why do I hate Doomfist in the most broadest of terms? Well, 2 reasons, or 2.5 reasons, I guess. Let's start with the first detail, his motivation. I'll let the clip right here explain it.
Humanity is always being tested. Conflict and war is the crucible through which we evolve. Those who fall will be forgotten. Those who rise up, their names will be remembered forever.
So, in case you didn't catch it, Akandi, however the fuck you pronounce his last name, wants to create an entire world filled with conflict, so that way the stronger can become stronger, and the weak and the burdening shall perish, and look, this whole social Darwinist ideology has been played so many times in so many villains that I am just so sick of seeing it. The idea of social Darwinism is a trope that has been played to death, and yet somehow people just won't let it die. I can think of so many antagonists who have this idea that strength only matters. It's just cliche, overdone, and just not interesting. Or at least it is when you break it down to its most basic components and just have it as the strong only survive and the weak shall perish without adding sort of any unique spin on it. To understand what I mean by that, let's take a look at JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And yeah, I know comparing things to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is unfair. It's kind of like comparing Explorers of Sky to Dark Souls. One's an interesting and heart-wrenching story with an organic world and a bunch of other optional characters that you can pay attention to, each with their own unique story, and the other one's Dark Souls. A lot of the main antagonists in JoJo all seem to hold this ideology of social Darwinism, but what separates them from Doomfist is that it's not really a motivation, but more of a method. Let's take a look at someone like Funny Valentine, arguably the best JoJo antagonist. Valentine doesn't give any sort of long, overly drawn-out speeches about social Darwinism, but we know through his motivation and actions that he does think these concepts exist. The thing is, though, he is not trying to shape the world or push the social Darwinism to its logical extreme. He's trying to take advantage of a currently imposed system, which makes his motivations seem more realistic and more grounded. Social Darwinism is an accessory to his motivation, not the main part of it. Though when it comes to social Darwinism as a motivation, you can't get more interesting than Diavolo's case. Diavolo, at least according to himself, is already at top of the food chain, but the thing is, Diavolo lives in constant fear that his own system and own ideology will eventually catch up to him. Diavolo thinks the strong will survive and the weak will perish, but then he realizes eventually that he himself may eventually turn out to be weak. So you can have an interesting Darwinist motivation, but does Doomfist do that? No. It's just the strong will survive, the weak will perish, blah blah blah, boring. Of course, I'm still being a little unfair here because I can think of another character I like that has the same motivation as Doomfist, but still does it better. I'm talking about Marvel's Apocalypse, more specifically the Apocalypse from the X-Men TV show. You know, the one with the awesome intro. Now what's Apocalypse deal? Well, it's pretty much the exact same as Doomfist. Apocalypse sees himself as the arbiter of Earth's new evolution. He intends to wipe out all the weak and inferior species in order to build a new world where all the new species are strong and fit to survive. It's the same old we've heard all this time, but Apocalypse has 2 things going for him. The first argument is more of a me-first kind of thing. Apocalypse is one of the OGs of Darwinist villains, being around since 1986. There is also the argument of the thematic appropriateness of Apocalypse's motivation. In the Old Hebrew Testament, Apocalypse is an event where all the wicked are punished and all the righteous are glorified, which makes sense considering that Apocalypse wants to cull the weak and unworthy and glorify those who are worthy. This, combined with his 4 horsemen, means that Apocalypse is pretty much following the Old Testament version of, well, the Apocalypse. But the problem with the me-first argument is, while you might have been the first, it doesn't matter if your motivation or writing hasn't aged well at all. And while the thematicisms for Apocalypse's motivation are, well, solid, it still doesn't change the fact that this is an overplayed trope. But Apocalypse does have one thing going for him that allows me to still like him while passing over Doomfist, and that's Apocalypse is fun. Doomfist's performance is just flat. He doesn't really have any sort of wit or tang to his dialogue, and all of his voice lines sound like the same tone, with the same highs and lows, or lack thereof, I suppose. Meanwhile, Apocalypse's presentation is about as flat as Mystique's boobs. He has highs and lows, some genuinely witty dialogue. Well, look, let's just compare the two of them right now.
Only through conflict do we evolve.
The world won't stomach your evil forever.
Evil? I am not malevolent. I simply am. Which soon will be more than I can say for you.
You're impressed. That's natural.
You have traveled over 50 centuries of time to stop me. When will you learn it cannot be done?
History will forget you.
A mutant!
I am as far beyond mutants as they are beyond you.
That isn't to say that Apocalypse is nothing but a gold bag. Just look at this.
Weak and foolish mutant. You are corrupted by those who want peace. You cannot oppose me.
Here's the thing though, while that last scene was still just nothing but cheese, at least I could laugh at it. I cannot say the same for Doomfist at all. So that lack of presentation makes up the 1/2 of the 2.5 things I have wrong. I wouldn't call it a whole point, but it's definitely something that brings Doomfist down. If only he had something like a more energetic voice actor, somebody who can get all sorts of highs and lows in their voice and just bring out this amazing amount of energy that is not only entertaining but just also badass at the same time. If only they had a candidate who could do a voice like that. And this leaves me with my last point, and arguably the one I have the biggest problem with. And that issue is Doomfist's backstory. Let's recap. Time to read the Overwatch Wiki! So Akande was born into a wealthy family that dealt out Deus Ex-style prosthetics. Akande eventually inherited the business and led it to great prosperity, as well as practicing martial arts in his free time. He was getting pretty into martial arts, but one day the Omnic Crisis happened and Akande lost his right arm. Because he owned a prosthetic augments company, he was able to replace his own arm, however he was kicked out of doing martial arts because it gave him an unfair advantage. So, Akande returned to his business until he was approached by the previous Doomfist, because Doomfist is kind of a lineage thing, and who said, hey, come work with me, I can put your augments to good use and we can go kill a whole bunch of innocent people. Okay. Oh yeah, and our whole ideology is that the strongest will survive and the weak shall perish. Does this sound okay with you? Well, yeah, I mean, I did karate, so that kind of sounds legit to me. Seriously, what the actual fuck? Okay, so let me understand this. Because I like karate, that means I am going to impose this incredibly large Darwinistic statement on the rest of the world. Yeah, that seems totally legit. I mean, I do archery, so clearly I am about to join the Master League of Assassins, led by Lord Pretzel. This motivation is stupid. This backstory is stupid. Doomfist is stupid. I mean, I suppose this whole the strongest survives motivation could actually just be the front for the fact that he's a sociopath that just likes hurting people. That would actually make a whole lot of sense, actually. That would actually be a whole lot better of a motivation now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, it would kind of correlate the fact that his rich and wealthy background, he could just grow up with very little empathy and just enjoy killing because that's what makes him most fulfilled in life. Maybe that's a plot twist down the road. Maybe that would be a really, really lame plot twist down the road. Although painting Doomfist as simply as a sociopath instead of a person trying to get a point across would arguably be better, but still, that would be trying to patch the sinking ship with scotch tape. Albeit that would be better than having the ship sink and everyone just sitting around saying this is fine while they drown.
Everybody was kung fu